May I ask you to pull, please? Thank you, please.
Na tad bhasayate suryo na shashanko na pavakaha yad gatva na nivartante tattama paramam mama. Neither does the sun shine there, nor the moon, nor fire, to which having gone they return not. That is my supreme abode.
Yes. So, where is this place where Krishna is? Sounds scary. No. This is the language of mystic symbolism. Swamiji used to say in Hinduism, we do not have, he would call it mythology. We have mystic symbolism. Frankly, I think that's true of all scripture. So it's not that one's going to draw some picture that's very dark where there's no sun and moon and no fire or anything like that. What Krishna's talking about in the language of poetry is the self. So the sun illumines things that are, the moon illumines things that are at night, fire illumines things when we haven't got a sun and a moon. Meaning, this is the place where stuff shows up. So what that is referring to is this world of knower, knowing and known. I, through seeing, no table. I, through hearing, no traffic. I, through touch, know the breeze of the fan. That's the world of sun, moon, and fire. So what is Krishna talking about? So again, we're invited to move into this classic meditation called Neti Neti, Na Iti, Na Iti. We always do it twice. We never just say Neti, and we never go Neti, Neti, Neti. We always do Neti, Neti. Why? Who can tell me why? We're dealing with microcosm, our individuality, and macrocosm, the world. So, microcosm, not this. I am not the physical body. I know the physical body. It's an object of awareness. When I was a child, I had a little body. I went through adolescence. The body changed. I'm an adult. The body has changed again. But I have known the changes in the body the same way I know the cup moving. The body is an object of cognition. Anybody have an ache or a pain today? Yes, no? When you have one, how do you know it? You are aware of it. I'm not energy. Sometimes my energy is really high. There was this fascinating thing posted on Facebook. I think yesterday was the birthday of Anandamayi Ma, the great 20th century saint. I had no idea that Swamiji had gone to see her, got her darshan when he was a young Swami. And they was talking about when he was doing pranayama. I guess he was doing asa and pranayama when he was at the Shivananda ashram. So this is like in 1948, 49, 50, somewhere around there. I don't know. But by doing all this pranayama, he couldn't sleep. So she said, take a roti, take a bite out of it, and then put the roti on top of your head and put your hand on top of the roti. So he did what she said. He could sleep at night. Who's to say? But more importantly, he had the darshan of one of India's greatest saints. Energy. That's my point. Energy. We know when we have a lot of energy. We know when, I'm going to watch Netflix today. Do you not know when the energy is vital and vibrant and you can't sleep or you want to go do a whole lot of stuff, or when you can't? You are not the pranamaya kosha. Feelings, joy, sorrow, anger, enthusiasm. Go on and on and on. The emotions are like a palette of a painter. So many different hues that we're capable of as human beings. Feelings are not bad. They're just not you. I know the feelings. Not the. Vijnana Maya Kosha, the intellectual sheath. It's where thoughts happen. Do the problem 2 + 2. Remember what you had for lunch. Visualize a strawberry. That place is called your subtle intellect. But the thoughts go by like your hand in front of your face, or the sound of the traffic going up and down Grand Avenue. I am not my thoughts. I'm the knower of my thoughts. I'm not going to go too much into the Anandamaya Kosha because that's pure ignorance. You cannot realize the self in deep sleep. Don't worry about it. But in a quiet mind, with the attentive faculty turned within, see if you can intuit, infer, notice the knower. Who am I? What is my essential nature? Oh my gosh, Jim, there's nothing there. That's right. But it's not no thing. It is nothing in the sense that there's no objects in me. I have no qualities, no characteristics, no form, no shape. I'm just witnessing consciousness, pure awareness. But you are not a zero. You are not nothing. Because I know I am. We talked about this last week. You are a conscious, sentient, aware being. You are life itself. But in that, you are the knower, you are the pramana, the means of knowledge. You are that which is known, not as an object. No sun there, there's no moon there. There's no fire there. There's no illumination of any objective phenomena. You're not going to sit in meditation and go, oh, there it is. I saw the self go by. Let me grab it. No. What you're looking for, you are looking with. And that is the abode of Krishna. Why? So we went neti, not the body, not the prana, not the mind, not the thoughts. Witnessing consciousness is who I am. But now when we go to the infinite, we look at the Jagat, the phenomenal universe. That's not the end. We look at the total mind, all the thoughts and feelings that could be thoughted and felt. That's not it. We look at the total vasana, the impulse that brought the Big Bang into existence. That's not it. Brahman. Pranyanam Brahma. Brahman is consciousness. It's the ground of being of the whole universe. Listen carefully. That witnessing consciousness, which you experience as I. And that ground of being, that's the substratum of the whole universe, Brahman, Krishna, they are the same thing. I am Atma, Brahma. This self is. At the moment of realization, the woman of knowledge doesn't go, oh, I'm a realized person. Fourth Mahavakya does not say, Aham Mahatma, Aham Muni. What does it say? Who remembers?
Aham Brahmasmi.
Aham Brahmasmi. What does that mean?
I'm Brahman.
I am Brahman. Oh, that witnessing consciousness is what Brahman means. No moon there, no sun there, no fire. But it is the abode of the and that is what is to be known. Any thoughts? Next verse.
Mame vamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanaha manashashtani nindrani prakriti sthani karshati. An eternal portion of myself, having become a living. Sorry, there's a grammatical mistake. An eternal portion of myself, having become living souls in the world of life, abiding in Prakriti, draws to itself the five senses, with mind for the sixth.
So what we have here is, what is this phenomenal world? I know what the absolute is. It was in the last verse. So, for example, in Shankara's Viveka Chudamani, the vast majority of the book is this discrimination between the self and the not self. Atman, Anatman, Vivechana. The discrimination between the self and the not self. And about 3/4 of the way through the book, Shankara says, well, we lied. There is no not self. What we've been calling the not self is actually also the self. Now, the language of Gita, it borrows the language of philosophy. Pure self, the eternal subject is Purusha. Saguna Brahman, Brahman with qualities we call Prakriti, nature. Listen carefully. It's not two substances. Sankhya philosophy says it is. Vedanta says no. Let's see if we can get a taste of what this means. It's very simple if we go to our direct experience. I had mango Saturday. That was yesterday. It's not naughty. Shouldn't have it as a diabetic. But I was at Puneet's and Soundaria's for lunch, which is a mango. So close your eyes and visualize some mango. Fragrant, sweet, beautiful color. Now open your eyes. What we just did is the greatest of miracles and the greatest of mysteries. My one undivided mind forked into subject-object. I manifested the image of a mango. Did I turn into a mango? Did you turn into a mango? But did you manifest the mango out of anything other than you? Yet there's a difference. There's what we call a sentient phase, chit, pure awareness, and an insentient phase is what we call jada, is the Sanskrit. If I were to close my eyes and have a mango and a strawberry, the locus of perception is never in the strawberry or the mango. I know them both. None of the phenomenal objects are inherently sentient. They are all inert. Western philosophy, we call the self the noumenon, and all the stuff you can see, phenomena. The noumenon, Atman, is always conscious. Satchidananda Rupaham. The phenomenal world, though not different in substance from consciousness, is jada, it's inert. This is Prakriti, the stuff of mind out of which everything is made. It's called Prakriti. It's called Chitta, mind stuff. Sometimes Chaitanya, depends on the particular text. Always distinguishable from Chit. We will have language like Nirguna Brahman. Near, or actually nis, the S changes to an R. Means without. Guna means qualities. Nirguna Brahman is me. Sa Guna Brahman. Sa means with. Brahman with qualities is stuff. And that's all of it. So God does not create the world the way a potter creates art. The potter has a substance called clay that's different from herself. Pot. The universe is imagined. It comes about in the same way that you imagine the mango. The technical term for this is sankalpa. It's translated as wish, will, thought, intention. Who's got some other English words to translate sankalpa?
Commitment.
Commitment. You got any, Anand?
Maybe decision.
Decision. Let me give you a deeper meaning. Sankalpa is the process whereby a thought becomes a thing. That's what a sankalpa is. Through knowing an image, we reify it. We make it real with a small r. We concretize it. Now let me see if I can give you a taste of this. What's the difference between imagining a mango and dreaming about a mango? To the dreamer, that mango seems pretty real. Seems just as real as a mango I might have in the store or in my refrigerator. On awakening, I see that the dream mango is still just imagination. This is no different. Now, you are the God of your dream. You're not the God of all this at the individual level. Ishvara, the Lord, is doing the dreaming. Krishna is doing the dreaming. And what he says in this verse is our sense of individuality, our body, mind, intellect, and ego sense are characters in God's dream. Who had a dream last night that had people in it? What'd you dream about?
Honestly, can't quite remember the details.
But there were people
There
in
were
it.
definitely people in it, yeah.
But see, the people in your dream were created out of your imagination.
Mm-hmm.
Did they walk around and have thoughts and feelings and actions?
Yeah.
Just like you and me.
Mm-hmm.
So the Jimness, the Sophianess, the Trevorness, these are all characters. The word that Krishna uses here is jiva. Comes from the root jivati, which means to live. Means to live. Now listen carefully. I don't usually use the word jiva or jivatma, the individual soul or the individual entity. Why? Because in actuality, it is imagination. And it's not like it's going to change into something else. We see its fundamental unreality. So I borrow the term that Gaudapada uses in his commentary on the Mandukya Upanishad. He uses the term Jiva Bhavana. Bhavana means an attitude or a feeling. What do we mean by this? Let's go back to the dream. So if I can use you as an example again this week, Fang. So you had a dream. Were you in the dream?
Yes.
Did you have a dream body?
Yes.
Okay. Were you identified with that dream body
Yes.
in the dream? It seemed like you. Isn't that our experience?
Mhm.
But it's not you, the waker, Fang. Where does it go when you wake up? Poof. Gone. Because it was imagination. It was imagination. But it seemed like it was me. I have a dream body, and in it I have a locus of perception. I peep out of the senses in the dream body, and I have an ego identification. I think it's me. When I wake up in the morning, poof, oh, what a vivid dream. Here's the great question. Do you incarnate into a dream? The word is very interesting. What does incarnation or incarnate mean? What's the root word in English?
Put into flesh.
Yeah, meat. Carne in Spanish. Meat. Does your dream body have meat? Listen carefully. To the dreamer, it seems like flesh. This also is just imagination, and through long and habituated attention to it, an identification with it, it gets grosser, meaning it feels more and more solid and more and more. So with this in mind, please read the English of the verse again.
Of the 7th verse.
The one we just did.
An eternal portion of myself, having become living souls in the world of life, abiding in Prakriti, draws to itself the 5 senses with mind for the 6th.
Yes. So that's what this thing called a human being is. It's a body, it's a mind, it's an intellect. It has what we call vasanas, or unconscious tendencies, and it's all illumined by awareness. But that robot, the body, mind, intellect, and the vasanas, is what comprises what we think of as an individual. And as Krishna says, in a part of me, this manifests. Then not only does we have the 5 senses that we peep out through, but mind as well. But it's all just consciousness. Now, so what? Couple things. First of all, just like if you have a nightmare, you wake up and a friend says, it's okay, it wasn't real, it was just a nightmare. Do you know anybody who's ever had PTSD and had flashbacks? Yes? So what happens in the flashback?
They go back to whatever the traumatic moment was, and it feels like they're there.
Yes, but is it real?
No,
Sure feels like it for them, doesn't it?
yes.
That's yours in my life. And the traumatic event is just my prior life. All it is. That's all it is. It's just imagination. And it seems real. So what do we do? If you have a friend who's caught in a flashback, what do you do to help them?
I haven't figured it out.
Well, you be present to them. You keep reminding them it's not real, it's just a flashback, you're okay, you're safe. See those kinds of things?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't worry about this life. It's not real. It's okay. You're safe. You were never born and you cannot die. It's just PTSD. That's what Krishna's saying. Now, how do we come to prove that to ourselves? Over and over and over again. Stop during your day. 10 times a day, 20 times a day, maybe 100 times a day. See if you can just slow the mind down, look inside, check out yourself. See if you've ever changed from being the witness. Especially in the midst of something that's a struggle. If you can look and see, oh, the struggle is just happening in the world of sense perception, the world of my mind's reactions. But I am safe. I'm okay. Why? Because you are outside of the dream, outside of the flashback. It's just our minds that are doing this. Never thought of using a flashback from PTSD as a metaphor for life. It's perfect. Thank you. Doesn't mean we don't experience it. Vedanta never says that we don't experience it. But our problem is, I think it's real. By that, I think it affects, touches, alters, threatens me. Any thoughts on this?
I think that if someone is truly experiencing PTSD, then I don't know if telling them that it's not real will help them to come out of it. Because to them it's real. Right?
Well, I'm not a psychologist, so I can't answer from that standpoint. But I would suspect it's something like, can you feel the chair? Take a deep breath. I'm here in front of you. You're not on the battlefield. You're here in my office. You're in the chair. Can you feel my hand? Look at the wall. See if you can, this is what's here. And you try to bring their attention away from what the mind's projecting. So you kind of get this Again,
Yeah.
you would have to talk to a psychologist of how you deal with someone who's in the psychosis of it. I don't know.
That's it. That's exactly what someone said one time, is have them point out things in the room and tell you about them.
So we're doing the same thing. Except this is a room where there's no sun and no moon and no thunder. It's you. But it's the same process. Same process. So there's a really good practice implied in this. All right, next verse.
Verse 8.
Do you need some light? You can turn.
Actually, I can read from the screen. It's okay.
Okay.
Shariram yadavapnoti yachapyutramatishvaraha grihit vettani samyati vayurgandhani vashayat. When the Lord obtains a body and when he leaves it, he takes these and goes with them as the wind takes the scents from their seats or the flowers.
So if you've ever been at a deathbed, I invite you not to avoid death, the death of others. It triggers us because we get triggered about our own mortality. But if you can be present to someone when they're transitioning, it can be incredibly beautiful and mystical event. No matter how ill they are, there's still something there enlivening the body. Sometimes if you have subtle vision, you may see the subtle bodies will just shimmer above the physical body frequently. There's still the prana connection. Then when the moment of transition happens, and it's so clear that something that was in the body, was connected to the body, is gone. You never confuse a corpse with a sleeping person. It's very different. So what goes? So we've talked in other classes about the subtle body. What is the subtle body? 5 organs of action, 5 organs of knowledge, the prana in a subtle form, mind, intellect, ahankriti, ego sense, and the vasanas, the impressions. They just function through the physical body in the state. So essentially you run around in your subtle body in the dream state. Anybody here ever gone through some sort of a thing where they've practiced doing astral travel and lucid dreaming or anything like that? Some people get into that. What is it that's traveling around? That's your subtle body. So it has the organs of perception, see, hear, taste, touch, smell, organs of action, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. You have that phenomenology. You have energy, you can move. You have feeling, you have thought, you have an ego sense, and the impressions. Some of us, when we're meditating, have you ever had the feeling like you feel like you're tipping over to one side, you open your eyes and you're actually sitting upright? Who's had that feeling? Very common. Or you feel like you're rising up above your body. You go, oh my God, what's up? You open your eyes, no, there I am sitting. Who's had that one? This is where the consonance between the subtle body and the physical body starts to move. We're not always needing to be connected. Some yogis develop what we call siddhis, which are powers to be able to go to far distances in their subtle body, see things happening, visit people and stuff like that. Anybody here had a relative come visit them after they passed away? Oh, I felt Auntie, she was like in the room next to me. She might, very likely might have been. It's her subtle body. The subtle body is not the self. Subtle body, like the physical body, is an aggregate, but all of it is objects of awareness. So it is this subtle body that's gathered up, goes to what we call a loka. Loka means world, people. The ISKCON people translate it as planet. I have difficulty with that. It's not like you travel to Mars or Alpha Centauri or anything like that. But you go to a different vibrational level. You kind of work out your unresolved karmas from this particular incarnation, and then impelled by our desires, we then come back into the earth plane, take up another physical body. So that's what Krishna is talking about. Now, you don't need to believe any of this. You can get great value from Vedanta without any belief in the doctrine of reincarnation. How do I live my life from birth to death in this life to maximize the quality of my life? Answer's still the same. Let go. Live your life lightly. Even this is all there is. If you look behind your eyes and notice the nowhere, there's still nobody there. So this is the spiritual anthropology of the Gita. You don't have to believe in it. It's simply its particular way of dealing with the great mystery of what happens when a person dies. Who here has studied Kathopanishad? So in the beginning, there's the setup of the story. The young boy Nachiketas goes to Yamaraj, the Lord of Death, and Yama screwed up, says, oh, I gotta give you a boon. And what does Nachiketas ask? When a person dies, are they or are they not? And Yama doesn't say right away, let me give you money, let me give you wives, let me give you wealth, stuff. No, I want to know the answer. Finally, he said, okay. Then he says, two paths approach a person, Shreyas and Preyas. He starts talking about how do we maximize the quality of life here and now. Yoga says that also prepares us for the beyond. You don't have to believe in that stuff. There's a lot of value just using this teaching to maximize the quality of being right here, right now, having a liberated personality, being Jiva Mukta. Any thoughts on this? All right, next verse.
Shrotram chakshu sparshanam cha rasanam granameva cha adhisthaya manaschayam vishayanupasevate. Presiding over the ear, the eye, the touch, the taste, and the smell, so also the mind. He enjoys the sense objects.
So, this awareness that illumines the subtle body, which is the witnessing consciousness in me. What is hearing? It is the awareness of sound. What is seeing? The awareness of sights, etc. What is the mind? It's the awareness of feelings. So we have awareness plus all sorts of phenomena. If we withdraw from the phenomena, an interesting thing happens. This sense of individuality falls. Let me see if I can give you an example. So, for those of us here in the room, you have peripheral vision. You could see a wide range of objects. Now make a tube out of your hands. Close one eye and look through the other, through the tube. Now you can still see, but what you can see is incredibly limited in its scope. Has your eyeball changed in any way, shape, or form?
No.
Now, you move your hands. Did your eyeball change?
No.
No.
What changed?
View of perception.
What you were peeping through. So as awareness peeps through the subtle intellect, the mind, the senses, it feels like I'm an individual person. But if you thin the mind and introvert your attention, that sense of individuality falls. You are still there. The I, not EYE here, but I haven't changed at all. Now, this is very subtle. You don't have to hang on to it. But those of you who may have studied this. The Mandukya Upanishad, the 4th chapter of the Gaudapada commentary is called Alata Shanti, the quenching of the firebrand. And the metaphor he uses is this. He uses a firebrand, a flaming stick, like in a campfire. A better modern day image is sparkler at 4th of July or Diwali. So if you take the sparkler and you make a circle at night, you see the circle in the sparkler? Now, if you stop moving the sparkler, what happens to the circle?
Disappears.
Does it, like a fishing reel, does it reel into the sparkler?
No,
Can you grab it and put it in your pocket?
no.
The subtle intellect is like the circle in the sparkler. The difference is, once that circle appears, boy, is it powerful, because it illumines and manifests the whole effing world. But stop the mind, and you stop the world. Stop the thinking, perceiving, thinking about the perceptions, projecting into the future, the regrets for the past, I, me, mine, this, that, and the other thing. Sure seems like Jim is solid and real in a basket case. But if I stop the mind, I haven't fixed Jim. Come on. Weird. Don't believe me. Try it. No, you can bring the mind back. Just start moving the tip of the sparkler. You can have all the thoughts you want. We will gladly refund your misery. We'll give it back to you. You're welcome to it. But it's not real. It's not real. But you are real. Yeah, make this up. This is what the scriptures teach.
Jim, I have a question on this.
Yes.
Is the best way to live life then without thoughts? Because in the sense of like without thought of like the craving type of thoughts, because to some degree you still have to manifest your physical life. You still have a body and you still have to eat and you have to do, go to your job, think about things for your job. So is the best way to either, I guess I'm struggling between understanding, is the best way to just not let it go, like not think at all and just see how it flows, or should you constantly co-create your life?
One of the words that the scriptures use to describe this world is lila. Lila means play.
Yeah.
And like the English word, it has two meanings. It means play like a sport, like playing a game, but it also means play like a theatrical event.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been in a play?
A long time ago as a kid.
As a kid, okay. So what was the play? What was your character? Do you remember?
It was a play about New York City, and I must have been just one of the regular New York City people.
So I'm sure they told you to just make up a character. Were you like a businesswoman? Were you a gangster? What was your character?
I can't even remember. I think it was just a normal person. I was a background kid.
A background kid.
Yeah.
But let's make up something. Let's say your role in the play was to be an advertising executive in New York. Okay. Beautiful, pantsuit. You had really hot heels and stuff like that, and a briefcase, and you're walking down the street in New York.
Okay.
Very wealthy, very successful. You got to have the attitude, the New York attitude. Can you imagine that?
Sure.
Yeah. Is it you?
No.
It's a role you're playing. So is Fang. Now, just like in a play, if you have a speaking role, you've got lines, you've got blocking. In the play, you may get hit by a streetcar or a gangster shoots you. You've got to, how good are you at dying? You play the part. So also in this life, you will go to your job and get your successes and failures. You'll go on dates and have your successes and failures. Make money, you lose money.
I guess it's the idea that you try your best but don't get attached to the outcome.
Absolutely. But
You still
wear
try.
your whole life loosely.
Don't take
Now-
it too seriously.
Just because in the play, you're not really the advertising executive who gets shot, doesn't mean you don't play your part. I mean, you want to be a good actor.
Sometimes the word it's unclear what your actual role is.
Not ever.
It's always clear what your role is.
Your role is what you're doing today, right here, right in front of you. Your role is to sit on my couch on a whole stack of pillows.
Okay.
How do I know that?
So I'm sitting on your couch with a whole stack of pillows.
Yep. So your ego is not the screenwriter.
Can I ask a follow-up?
Please.
What about bad decisions?
You can't ever make a bad decision. That's an illusion. You can only make the decision you make. And this is why I love the imagery of the labyrinth. Now, I don't know how many there are here in the Bay Area. I know about the ones at Grace Cathedral. Does anybody know of any other labyrinths?
There's one Land's End.
Where?
Land's End is a hiking trail.
Okay, at
yeah.
Land's End.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So it's outdoors.
What's the difference between a labyrinth and a maze?
the labyrinth? You going the exact same way that you come out.
And you can't get lost in a labyrinth.
Yep.
You can get lost in a maze.
Mm-hmm.
Read the Harry Potter books.
Mm-hmm.
They get lost in the maze.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very cool if you walk a labyrinth with a friend.
Mm-hmm.
I really recommend that you do this.
Mm-hmm.
Start and have your friend either start before you by a minute or so or after you by a minute or so. Now, what you will find is, they're right in front of me. But after a while, you'll find this happening. You're going in opposite directions. Completely other sides of the labyrinth. And of course, our minds say, they're doing it wrong, they're going the wrong direction. Or if you're self-obsessed, I'm doing it wrong. I made a bad decision. But you're not. You can only do what you do. And you're going home, I promise you. Everyone who goes into the labyrinth goes to the center. unless you give up. But that's where we're going. That's the purpose of life. And what we call a bad decision teaches us vairagya. Yoga Vasishta, there's this wonderful story about this guy. He attains liberation, and his Gita, his song, is a beautiful poem. And part of it says, prostrations to noble pleasure. You have fondled me for lifetimes. Because of you, I have spent lifetimes in ignorance. And oh, namaste, noble suffering. Because of you, I have renounced the world and gained my freedom. So we think the good decisions are when I'm getting what I want. Cash and prizes, boys and toys. Actually, that's just part of the process of prolonging our dream. It is theoretically possible to grow spiritually out of inspiration. However, few people ever do. For most of us, the impetus to spiritual growth is my suffering. How long do I have to suffer, Jim? Till you let go. It's always the same. If we cling, we're attached, we're identified, we'll get dragged through the mud. If you don't want to get dragged, it's like holding on to the back bumper of a truck. If you don't want to get dragged, what do? Let go. I don't know if that's helpful.
Yeah, no, it's totally helpful. I have another question.
Okay.
So with certain amount of Vedanta study and imbibing these ideas, you know when you are confronted with Shreyas versus Prayas. And knowing that, you still sometimes choose Prayas.
Yep.
What are Shreyas?
Shreyas is the good, Prayas is the desirable.
Okay.
Swamiji used to say the electable and the delectable. The good and the preferable. I mean, ultimately, we want to do is make the good preferable. We do that through practice. But yeah, such is the power of Maya. Even when we know better, we go down the path of attachment. One more time. We have a term in the 12-step programs called hitting bottom. Any of you heard that before?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody gets clean or sober until they hit bottom. What is the definition of a bottom? The bottom is when the pain of the consequences is greater than the joy of that first drink or the first drug. Nobody gets sober or clean until you hit bottom. Nobody gets mature vairagya until you hit bottom. Swamiji used to say, go after the world, and then he would laugh. if you need to go.
Like, yeah, 1 or 2 minutes.
Let it kick you in the teeth. Let it drop you again and again. You would say. It's the only way to kill the ego. So, your bad decisions, go for it, girl. And when it hurts bad enough, you'll quit it. But you have to be conscious. As long as you believe the lie of Maya, he will make me happy. Money will solve my problems. Bigger house, that will fix everything. I lose 30 pounds. All those silly ideas. I'll be happy when it's better. Just watch your mind. What does it feel like to want stuff you don't have? You tell me. I named my mind Buddha when I was doing sadhana. There I am wanting again, wanting. And it's so boring and it's so repetitive. When are you gonna give it up, Jim? Pay attention to pleasure. Desire and object of desire become one. That's a taste of yourself. In the end, the world isn't bad. It's just empty. It's shunyata. It's void. But it can take lifetimes to figure that out. All right, it's 8 o'clock. What verse are we on for next week?
10.
Verse 10. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari Om